Hello, hello. All right. Let's see what we got on the agenda for today. Passives. All right. So I'm looking to create a class tree system that's similar to this. The old World of Warcraft talent tree system. It's not going to be exactly like this, but it's going to be something similar to it. Something to allow the player to invest talent points outside of a match into their class trees individually. So if someone likes being a pyromancer more than the other classes that they're playing as, then they can invest more into that type of play style. And I find that extremely rewarding. It also gives players agency. So the more options that you can give people, the more fun they'll have with the game overall. Because each experience in a match can be more unique that way, and you can try out new builds that just make the game more interactive and fun. Thank God I wasn't muted. All right. Give me 1 second here. Just gotta go grab something. All right. So, looking at this, I broke down passives more mechanically how they would work. You have proactive, reactive, and constant passives. Proactive is when you're dealing damage to another target. Reactive is when you are receiving damage from a target. And constant is damage modifiers. So if you want fire damage to be increased by 10% or something like that, that would be a constant modifier or a constant passive that you'd want to have on. Reactive would be something if you get hit by something, you want to slow the target down that hit you for X duration. And proactive would be something if you hit a target with an ability, they get slowed by something. So this is pretty much what we're working with. I was working out the details about like how I'd structure this like in code, and kind of like breaking it down and talking to myself. And I think I have a pretty good base for it. And we're pretty much just going to start getting this constructed and we'll test it out. I did some work with it yesterday. Just trying out pretty basic stuff to see if it would work. One of the classes in the game is called Tempest, and it essentially works off of like their auto attack. Whenever you like auto attack and like hit somebody, you gain a stack of intensity. That stacks up to 5 times, and when you use an ability, it consumes all those stacks and converts those stacks to extra damage or some other type of effect depending on the ability. So that is like the class identity is you do like a little bit of chip damage and then you have like burst. Whereas like Pyromancer has the passive of like burning. So they play around like burn effects. You stack burn effects on targets and that will increase the damage that they receive. The name of the game is to give each class its own mini game to play. So it feels like players are working towards something constantly. League does a really good job at this by adding a ton of different mini games that you're playing. One of them being like last hit a minion and you get gold. That's a mini game. They have like passives on every character as well that affect like your playstyle and how you would go into like team fights or laning phase. So right now these passives are going to be essentially mini games. During testing yesterday, I got the Tempest passive working. I'm just going to quickly launch this again. Make sure it's still working. What I did was, in testing, there's this little, it's really hard to read it because the text is so small, but there's something that says intensity right here. And what the code is looking for is when you hit somebody with an ability that is within the Tempest class tree, or when you hit them with an auto attack from the Tempest class tree, it will gain one of these stacks, and then when you use an ability, it'll look to see if the ability you are using is from Tempest. Skeptic, no. Thank you. So, right here, what I'm going to do is use a lightning strike. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, so it looks like I don't have it reading intensity stacks, but what I have it reading is if it's from that class tree itself. Yesterday we also finished up spectate mode and everything. Worked out all the bugs with that. Go Rams. Yeah, so if you look to the left here, it is actually gaining intensity stacks. I'm going to use an ability that does damage. And just one-shots them, pretty much. But the way that this is currently programmed isn't really generic at all, and it's not reusable. So I really have to go back and kind of refactor this. So I don't really have to think about what data I'm giving it. It would just be able to take like any type of data and say, hey, this class tree wants to know if this ability should get a modifier, and then it will apply it if it's supposed to. So today's deal is pretty much just going to be refactoring everything so it works like that. And it all starts here. Let's see. Do I want to do constants or do I want to do proactive first? Yeah, so I think I'm going to create different damage types in the game based on the class tree. I think that's probably the easiest way to separate this. Certain passives that I'm going to be creating will affect all class abilities. But then there's going to be individual talent points that go towards individual abilities. So I think I'm going to layer it. Like before I was doing testing with this, creating different damage types based on classes, but I think I'm gonna rewrite how this is structured. Actually, this might already be created for us with how I wrote this before. Let's double check on that. Yeah, it is. Okay. So I don't even have to do that part of it then. What I'm going to have to do is make ability indicators. So for each ability, I have to write a gameplay tag for it. What I'm going to do is bring up a list of all the abilities. Four, five, six, seven, eight, nine. Oh, is it really? Is that any better? Might be my mouse. I have like a wireless mouse and I wonder if it's actually interfering with the box I have. Is that any better? Should probably listen to it myself. Yeah, hold on. I can just change the playback here. Oh, but I think that's going to affect it on stream real quick too. Let me mute real quick. Yeah, I can hear what you're talking about for sure. That is super weird. I wonder where that's coming from. My box actually might be going bad. Yeah, there's like some type of interference. Because moving it in like certain directions actually like gets rid of it. Yeah, like right here, it's gone completely. But then that's really weird. I wonder what signal is coming from it to cause that to happen. Do you hear it anymore? Sounds like it's completely gone. Wow, I wonder how long it's been doing that for. I was just talking with people earlier today, and I don't think it was happening then. It's really strange. Yeah, all I did was just move my box like a couple inches forward and it just stopped. But I appreciate you letting me know. Also, I have been looking for like a way to create like passives in the gas system, and I cannot find any great resources on like how people like are implementing this, because these passives would be like essentially like listeners for like gameplay effects and stuff. Like when they're applied, they'll do something, or they'll increase like damage of like certain abilities. So I'm pretty much just like winging it right now. On how this is going to be put together. I don't know if you know anybody that has made a passive system before in this though. And you have any idea on a better way to handle this? What kind of passive, for example? So the best thing that I can like relate it to is like kind of like how these passives worked. like the talent point system in like WoW, where like they would give like certain modifiers to specific abilities, or some of them would just be the damage type itself, like increased physical damage or something like that, right? So some of these would give armor, some would give like benefits to other abilities, and some would just be like flat damage increases. So I was like thinking of like the easiest way to take what gas gives and make like a class tree like talent point system like WoW. I actually have that course, and I saw like how he was implementing the passives. And I think that should work. There's just like a couple differences, or a couple other passives that he didn't really create in that system, that I'm gonna be adding to my game. So I guess I'm taking his system a little bit and modifying it. But yeah, that guy makes really great courses, that's for sure. Let's see here. Yeah, I just didn't know if anybody else had any other resources, because I don't know if Lyra does it. And if they do, it's in a very different way. Because I was looking through the code on that as well, and I couldn't really find anything. Five, 6, 7, 8. You were also thinking about adding gas to your game as well, right? Or you already started it, I believe. Yeah, it didn't start yet. Dude, the learning curve on this is like crazy. Everybody that like does anything with gas always like brings like this documentation up. I mean, it's like the first thing you see when you search for it on Google as well, if you look up the gameplay ability system. But this thing is like the holy grail. when it comes to this. Yeah, I did that too. I did the same thing, and to be honest with you, I wish I like I take notes and stuff when I do like studying. I really wish I actually read through this whole thing from the get-go. Like before I even created anything, I actually wish I started with reading this thing through first. Because the way that a lot of this system interacts with each other is different from any other like framework that I've worked with before. And if I would have just like read this in the beginning, I would have like understood how to use or how to create like certain things a lot more efficiently. So if I can recommend anything, I would like seriously just like read through and take notes on everything in that. Steven's course did a really good job with this. Like there's a lot he does not explain that's in this. Yeah, dude, it's long. I like looked at it and I was just like, ah, fuck it, I'm gonna wing it. And then I got into it, and there were certain problems I ran into, especially with like prediction, and I was like, god damn it, like why is this not working? And then like I looked into it, and then saw that like they mentioned it in the documentation there, and I was like, god Jesus, if only I would have saved myself like days. This is going to be long the long part of copying and pasting everything in here so it's a native gameplay tag. Oh boy. Just because I really don't feel like filling out every single description here, I'm just gonna do that. 3, 6, 8. Okay. Come on, Visual Studio. Know what I'm trying to do? Thank you. Is this how this works? Nope. I mean, technically, I could just do this. Fuck, is there a macro for just like replacing this? Screw it. Wait, what the hell? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I doubled on one. Which one did I miss? Oh. No, wait, I got that one. Which one is it? What the hell? I know Clarity's there twice. Which ability am I missing right now? Surge? Yeah, okay, it's this one. It's so painful to just copy and paste this so many times. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the unfun but very necessary part. I was very much against like using tags in the beginning, but I've definitely warmed up to them. That's for sure. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, the fun's not over. Because now we have to put these dudes into containers. As much as I hate like doing this, I gotta be honest, I do like the way this looks, like organization wise. Clash tree abilities. Oh, shoot. These guys are going into containers here. And the containers are basically just going to be used to see if our passives should apply. It's basically going to scan over all the abilities within these containers and see if they get the benefit from the passive. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm gonna have the best time if I ever like rename any of these abilities, just having to do this all over again. That's my first thought when I look at how I'm writing this right now. Five, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh man. All right, let's label this. Okay. Now, I'm just going to recompile, make sure they all got added correctly. Also, is the music like too loud, too quiet? I actually didn't really check the volume settings before I started the stream today. It's good? Okay. Yeah, so I broke these passives into categories on how they're going to work. So constants are like modifiers. They're basically just going to modify ability damage directly before making a during the process of making a gameplay effect. Proactive and reactive abilities happen after a gameplay effect is applied. So it's basically like a response. And I think that's how the system's going to work. I'm also going to use the built-in delegates. Let's see if our tags were created. Class tree. Yeah, abilities. There we go. Nice. Yeah, so damage type, I think I'm going to get rid of this. This was like early stages of like developing this. I made like a custom net serializer for sending data type over the network. So for the like effect context, it would know like what damage type happened and what would be applied. But then I was like, man, now it's a lot of different damage types to add to this game, and like doing like resistances and stuff for each one of those would just be terrible to maintain that. So I basically scrapped that idea. There's like one type of damage resistance that I created for the game, and that's just resilience. It's a lot easier to balance that than it would be for 8 different types. That's for sure. Okay, so they're all added. Now, do I want to work on the constants first, or do I want to work on the reactive and proactive? So for constants, an idea I had was constants would actually be an attribute inside like the class tree's attribute set. So for like pyromancy, we would make a new attribute for, like, I don't know, burn damage, something like that. And when ability gets used and it has the class tree tag of pyromancy, it'll check to see how many points or like what modifier we should give the ability with the amount of attributes in this specific thing. I'm terrible at explaining things, but it made sense in my head. So when doing like a constant, what we can probably just name this is like oh, I did make a base class tree attribute set. Okay, cool. So the way I'm actually going to do this is probably create like a overall damage modifier in the attribute set here that all classes will have. And then the attribute sets themselves will have specific attributes that modify specific abilities. I think that'll be the easiest thing to do. Now thinking of like naming this right. Like this just isn't giving like damage increases. This is also like increasing like healing too. What I could probably name it is like class tree effect modifier. So this will scale either damage or healing effects. And we'll just keep it generic for now. I needed that. Rep notify always. I don't know if we need it for this attribute. We actually, some of these attributes don't change that often. So, for pyromancy passives, like burn damage is going to be something that we're looking to increase. But I think I want to make these more ability specific. So like each point that you put into this thing, it will increase the damage of the ability that it coincides with. Now, like, doing it this way, though, we would need to know, like, what passives we're adding beforehand, like, or what the class tree is going to look like. And we're also assuming that every single, like, passive or, like, talent is just going to increase damage. It's not going to increase, like, area of effect or duration or anything like that. Now, technically, I could create attributes for like every single like talent, and then just have the ability kind of decipher it. Like, oh, he put 3 points into this, that means I increased the area of effect by 50%. Which is one way to do this. But that also means that I'd have to come in here every single time I want to like change something about this talent tree. and modify it that way. That might be how we have to do it. I think to start out, we'll probably make like 3 passives for each class, doing really basic things, and then we'll see how it feels. And then if it looks good, then we'll just expand on it. But if it just like feels really bad, we'll go back to the drawing board. See how we do this. So what I'm probably going to do is just name these after the abilities themselves. I'm just going to pick 3 abilities that we modify. Actually... So I'll do Ignite, Scorch, and Combustion. For druid, let's see what I want to do here. Probably this one. I actually just thought of something. I don't think I added the auto attack ability of the classes. Okay. All right. I think we're all done with that. Now that we have these modifiers, how are we going to check this? Probably in here. Hmm. like in this case, we want to see like what class tree this ability is from, so we know how to do our modifier. And like my brain immediately goes towards like creating like an enum that could be assigned on the ability itself. So like just tell us. I know. Yeah. Returns a filtered version of this container that returns all tags that match against any of the tags in other container. This might be how we do it then. This might be a really dumb question, but are we able to put containers within containers? Probably not. Just doing like a line of if statements on this just does not seem like a great idea at all. Like I really don't want to do that. I mean, technically I could make an array of containers. that probably isn't a bad idea. With that being said, we could probably make a function here. We would be modifying ability damage here. Just thinking about how I want to handle this once we find which class tree it is and how we want to apply the damage. Actually, so if this ability has this parent tag, then we want to apply that ability's effect to it. Since we're using like attribute sets to hold passive information, I'm just thinking of a way that we can use gameplay tags to pull an attribute set or identify it. Like doing this with like enums is like really easy. But gameplay tags are a little bit different. Because you can't, like, for an enum, for instance, like right now, I would just use a switch, right? You pass in the enum, it grabs what you need from the switch, like, immediately, but you can't pass F names in to a switch. Can you please... I don't think you can pass gameplay tags into a switch, can you? Man, that would make this so easy. I'm actually gonna try that real quick. Pretty sure you can't. Yeah, I didn't think so. Yep, it has to be a number. I'm just gonna like real quick deep dive into gameplay tags. I'm just looking for other ways that I can kind of manipulate these to get what I need. That sounds really bad, but if they have like some built-in functionality that relates to that of a switch, So far, not seeing it. What's wrong with the else if chain? There's nothing necessarily wrong with it. It's technically slower, and with the amount of like classes that I'm going to add, I guess I'm like thinking like too far ahead, because right now we should really just be focused on getting this up and running. How often is it evaluated? How many cases are there? Let's see. Where is my code? Okay, so we're iterating over a T array and basically looking to see which class tree this ability is a part of. Once we do that, okay, we want to see if it's part of this class tree. We will grab this attribute set, which matches up to that tag. And I plan to have like probably like well over like 15 different like classes, which is why switch statements are pretty good. So that would be like 15 if else. And I don't think it'll be iterating over it much at all. Like the if else statement will just fire once. I mean, I could just do it. Fuck it. Oh, maybe I can do a filter here, actually. So, another way of doing this is... Oh, I'm just trying to see if this actually makes sense. I'm thinking of using like a predicate or like a lambda right here. Would a lambda make sense for what I am trying to do right now? So my thought process here, right, is I can technically convert the class tree to a number by having like an array of the different class tree types, right? They all have like their own index to it. And then I could see if the ability has a parent tag that matches any of those, and then I can just grab the index from that array and use that to trigger a switch and then apply the passives. Now, is that just doing like way more work than what this is doing? That is the question. Oh wait, I'm already doing that because container is an array. Oh shit, yeah, I could just do that. The fuck am I doing? So Pyro would be, or Pyromancer would be index 0, Tempest index 1, Druid index 2. Oh, hell yeah. Okay, that's way better. Also, I'm just gonna say fuck this for loop and we're gonna do this the old-fashioned way with I. When I is less than goodbye, goodbye. And then what we'll do is if ability, say goodbye to that way too soon. So if the ability tag has this parent tag, then we will plug I into the switch. Do not forget your break statements or your defaults. Technically, this can actually just be break. Technically, we only have 3 cases right now. Yeah, this seems like a pretty good way to do it. It'll be really easy because, I mean, the only thing I'm going to have to change now is just add another case every time I add a class. I can even put some comments here too, saying what classes they are. Class 0 is Pyromancy? Yeah, okay. Pyromancy, Tempest, and then Druid. Okay. Now this is where we're going to turn this into more functions. Because now we are going to have to grab the player's attribute set. And I know I did that one of these functions here, so I'm just going to copy it. Yeah. I will turn this into its own function, don't worry. I know it's going like crazy far off screen. This is not enemy attributes, it is our attributes. I think I'm just going to turn this into its own function right now. Constitute, yeah, okay, that looks good. Apply class tree passives. This would be... What's a literal way of saying this? What are we doing here? We're grabbing the correct attribute set for the ability that we're using, and then we're modifying the damage. Man, I really don't like the way that is worded. Fuck it, we'll just keep it for now. Now this goes even a layer deeper. And this is like where we actually find out if this is a good design choice or not, or I have to like pivot and do this a completely different way. Because now that we have the correct attribute set, how do we associate attributes to gameplay tags? mean, technically we can use the name of this. I actually want to see how this works. Okay, name of the attribute usually the same as property name. Why usually? What makes it different? This is just reeking of like undefined behavior. But do I do it anyways just for now? It would make it a lot easier. Oh, what am I doing? We want to get attribute. This might take a fair bit of research on my end here to figure out the best way to do this. Right now, like midway through making this, it didn't feel that bad. And it was kind of clicking. But the further we get down here, I'm not feeling as confident. Because at this point here, we're looking for if the attribute name matches the ability's name. Not having like a great example on passive implementation to go off of makes this really like a prototype heavy type of thing. I'm probably going to do like at least like 5 or 6 implementations of this alone over the course of this week to see which one works the best. So far, I'm not like terribly happy with this first one. But I at least want to get it working. I want to see if there's anything within attribute set where they like store like an array of all the attributes. Probably not. Yeah, this is all for the data tables for the attributes themselves. Returns true if the variable associated. Oh, wait, what I can do is... I might be able to pass the name of the attribute in. I mean, technically I could make a function on the attribute set that takes in an f name and then returns the attribute. Or I could have it pass in like a gameplay tag and it returns the attribute that way. Let's try that. I'll have it return a float. I'm really surprised. I'm like really surprised that the attribute set does not have like an array. I know it pulls it from a data table. I swear I read something in the documentation before about being able to associate attributes with gameplay tags. Yeah, I know about all this stuff. Maybe attribute sets are not the way to go for storing passives. Ironically, the creating the system for these constant passives is going to be harder than creating the systems for the proactive and like the reactive passives. I thought this would be the easier path to go. When's the next beta test? You mean alpha test? I mean, the next thing I want to like really test out is class trees. Like we pretty much tested everything out, tested out everything last time. So I want to make class trees that you can customize outside of the game, and then it brings that data into the game. That's what we're working on right now. I'm just trying to see what's the best way to set this up. Because like it needs to be something that's replicated. But I'm really shooting to have this done by like Saturday. When I first thought of doing this, I was like, oh, I could just make like gameplay abilities that just run continuously in the background. But like doing more research on that, they aren't able to actively modify any values when gameplay effects are being created. Another way of doing this is to do all of this within the execution calculation instead. But when I was like looking into that as well, we would have to make like a bunch of these, and we would just have to assign them to each ability. I mean, technically I have like the spectate system, the beta test, if we wanted to do that in like a couple days. I can't even say beta test, it's like alpha. Hmm. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna do everything within the execution calculation instead. I think you're able to actually change like duration and stuff in here as well. No, so in here you can't even change like the duration of the effect, I don't think. Oh boy. Yeah, so in here it's like, it's able to pull all the damage and everything after it's already been put into the gameplay effects spec itself. But a lot of these passive effects want to modify the spec before it's like, or as it's being created, not after it's applied. So that's the dilemma here on using this. I was really hoping that like attribute set had a way to just like iterate over every attribute that's in the set itself. But it doesn't look like that actually exists. You're able to pull them like one at a time. But that kind of defeats the purpose of this function. I mean, I can make like a hash map that correlates gameplay tags with the attribute data itself. I think I might take like a quick like 30-minute break and then get back to this. Just clear my head a little bit, walk around and stretch. I really wish there was like another resource to go off of where someone made something similar to this, but yeah, it's basically making this whole system from scratch and seeing if it works. But when I do get this working and I have it working exactly how I want, I'll definitely make a video on how I did it and pretty much explain everything step by step, just so somebody else that's looking to make something similar will have a resource to look at, because this is like excruciating trying to figure this out. But yeah, with that being said, probably back at it in about like 30-40 minutes or so. I'll probably stop the stream for now, but I'll be back soon.